lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you? Then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum, which you should definitely join. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Now, speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of my Patreons. So shout out to Chow Young Cat, Christina Baker, Dank, David Wayne Foster, God Rockin', Jeronism, Kirsten Smith, Matt, No Proof, and Renee for supporting me on Patreon. Much appreciated, one and all. Now, we're also joined by, I think we've only got one person in the Google Hangout. I think we've got 10th Man and a few people also in the Discord server. So hello, one and all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. About 10 minutes and we'll go live.
Sounds good. Mm-hmm.
I've not driven my car 10th Man, but I've polished it.
Good for you, yeah. And now you'll go in there with some cleaner and get all the dust out of the air vents and make it look nice.
It wasn't all that bad, actually. I mean, I think because the guy who bought it off had kids, it got like muck everywhere, like crisps and things in the back seat because he just hadn't cleaned it out, which is fine. You know, for cheap, I don't mind cleaning it if I get it cheap.
You got a piece of candy under the chair to eat later? Is that it?
You got it. Bits of toffee in the ashtrays, things like that.
Oh, funny. There is a, hang on, I think I saved it. There was a story out again. Where did I save it? Oh, I know. Another one of those NASA space stories about I think it was Jupiter. They were pushing it on the news yesterday. In 2026, they'll be on Jupiter. And I mean, it's just such nonsense.
I don't watch any of that crap anymore. It drives me mad, the nonsense that they put out in the news about things like Jupiter from NASA. Yes, I appreciate Jupiter is a light in the sky. Claiming that they're going to travel to this second law of thermodynamics violation known as outer space is just absolutely preposterous now, and it does drive me mad watching things like that. So for that reason, I don't watch news. In fact, I haven't watched it since I was about 8 years old, if I'm ruthlessly honest. I've never read the papers either. Whole thing.
Yeah, this is off of my internet news feed, and it's Saturn, not Jupiter. NASA agency unveiled major breakthrough mission to explore solar system. I mean, it seems like every few weeks they have a major breakthrough.
They're going back to the moon.
Say again?
Sorry to interrupt. They're just saying, what's all this about the solar system is they are supposed to be going to the moon. Why are they still spending all that money on the solar system? Nobody cares about that, right? We've seen enough probes and all that. We want to go to the moon and stay for good.
Yeah, they can't. Their claim of their moon, i.e. the heliocentric moon, is a rock in a second law of thermodynamics violation known as outer space. So they're never going to travel to their moon. The moon I know is just a light in the sky.
Yeah, so here got CGI pictures of Saturn, some kind of lander, and then this Jim Burdenstein, who now runs NASA, former politician, former military, and Saturn's moon, Titan. Okay, great. So the average Joe is going to read this story and see the CGI pictures and believe that the $53 million or whatever they're getting a day is being put to use for the actual thing that they're saying when it's all a farce.
Indeed.
the CGI stuff. I'm just looking at it. It looks really crappy. I mean, it's not even like it looks like a video game from like 10 years ago.
I've never understood
The
that.
landscape is all like plain, and then the lander, the craft itself looks like, you know, not even one of those cheap China-made drones. It just looks like a metal junk.
When Dilly Gill,
Dragonfly.
when Dilly Gill covers the space shuttle and he's talking about the footage that comes from it, he's sort of saying that NASA play their cards quite close to their chest. They don't do anything too elaborate. So it's like a meal in zero G, things like that. Now that I can understand them, you know, not going to the effort of having Star Wars battles and things, you know. They're going to keep it relatively simple. That I understand. However, when it comes to the imagery, why make it crappy? That doesn't make any sense, right? Why make it crap? Why not make it really good?
I think actually it's very clever now that you think about it, or if you think about it this way. It's like kind of like it makes you fill in the gaps in your mind. So when I'm looking at this Dragonfly CGI thing, yes, it looks crappy. So in my mind, I go like, okay, I know it's not real, but it's semi-real because it's some sort of like scientific portrayal, right? So somehow NASA knows how to fill in the gaps between like a real full-on Hollywood production, because then everybody would go, oh, that's too real, right? But somehow by making it kind of crappy, it almost gives legitimacy to it in two ways. One would be, oh, it's a science organization, so that's why they can't make a full Hollywood production, right? It's some sort of like scientific description, so it's not perfect. And then at the same time, they want you to fill in the gaps in your mind. So when I'm looking at this Dragonfly thing, yes, it looks crappy, but like a video game from 10 years ago, it stimulates my imagination in some way because it's, you know, like less is more kind of thing. I think it's a very cruel but clever psychological trick. And they've been doing this for decades, obviously.
Yeah,
I
like
think we have,
like Nintendo
I
games
think we
back in the past, they had like just pixels. But as a kid, you're like your imagination takes over and fills in the blanks, and it feels more immersive that way.
yeah, but we just had a guy who's pretty famous said it looks so fake it must be real.
Well, there must
Yeah,
be more
that's a
to
perfect
that.
example, isn't it?
Well, we just laugh at that, but there must be more to that. This is the conversation we're having right now. So I think there is more to it. He's highlighting the fact that people think it's real because it looks fake. Now, I take those words quite seriously, as much as it is humorous, because that's our argument, right? But ultimately, he's still pointing out that people believe it to be real when it looks really fake. And we're highlighting how crappy the images are. There must be a connection. I don't know what it is.
Well, the connection just off the top, immediate thought I'm having is the words he said that followed, saying, and you know, we can do better CGI than that. So it's like, let's just show the ridiculous nature of this and have a little comedy to it so that people don't get this too serious and question us.
Yeah, kind of like plausible deniability, that they make it too real. Yeah, so it gives everybody that, isn't it the role of propaganda is to give something for people to believe rather than to force them to believe. So like you're saying, if it looks so bad and so fake, then it's got to be real, because people will be like, it has to be real, because why would they fake it so badly? So, you know, it's the propaganda is to help them believe what they want to believe as opposed to forcing them to believe it.
Right. That way you're not critical on the quality of the pixels, the quality of all the other factors on a real image. Because, hey, if they wanted to fake us, why didn't they just do it like Hollywood does it? Why does this look so fake? So it must be real.
That makes no sense.
Of course it doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's a big component. Yeah.
I mean, our eyes are open. That's why we see right through it. But the person whose eyes are not open, they just hook, line, and sinker.
Don
Don.
has thoughts on this.
I was going to say,
Oh,
go
yeah,
on, Dawn.
thanks.
Go ahead.
Thanks for unmuting. Thanks for unmuting me. I
didn't know you should
I
come
think
in,
it's
sorry.
the most absurd thing I've heard from NASA so far. Remote
What's that?
drones on Saturn's moon Titan. This is a joke.
Even you don't believe it? Or are you being
No.
sarcastic?
No, honestly, quadcopters controlled from Earth on Titan is absolutely absurd. And when I brought this up to Globus, they also told me we're planning helicopters on Mars, which is like doubles down on the joke, and I just couldn't believe it. I was laughing out loud last night.
What do you mean when Globers? You're a Glober.
Yeah, I was trolling the other Globers with
Okay.
Titan
Did I just hear
quadcopters.
helicopters on Mars? What's going on? What did I walk into? What?
NASA
Yeah,
nonsense, basically,
Happy
chocolate.
birthday, chocolate. Happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday. How old are you?
Thank you.
How old?
43.
43. The big 4-3, eh? Wow. Many happy returns.
Thank you kindly. Appreciate it.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to keep up to date with the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum, which you should definitely all join. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Flatzoid, Chocolate Saying, 10th Man, and in the Discord server we have Coffee Drinker, Dawn, Dougie, Earth-Shaped Investigator, The One, Paul, Righteous Force, and Slayer of Prey. Very good to have you, one and all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Right.
Sure.
Who's going to rattle through the housekeeping questions? And I'll try and keep a tabs and correct them if they're phrased wrong, but someone on the Google Plus Hangout panel, if you can.
Any signs of Earth curvature?
No signs of Earth curve. Hey, Paul.
Nope. No. What's up, Paul?
No signs of Earth curvature. Anyone in Discord? Any signs of Earth curve?
We're going to the beach today, so I'll have a look, see if there's a boat I can observe. I'll get back to you.
A boat? No, Earth curve.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look for a boat on the horizon.
You're supposed to look for the curve, Dawn, not the boat. The curve.
Well, I'm going to have my drone with me, so I'll go up and look for the curve for you as well.
Okie dokie, you do that.
Thanks.
Just don't reify the horizon into your fundy Earth belief. Next.
Any signs of axial rotation?
No signs of axial rotation. Occasional claims of Coriolis. Anybody in Discord got any evidence of axial rotation? Chocolate's keen to know.
No.
Bummer.
First, I can't really observe the stars from where I live because I live in the city.
Oh, sorry. Axial rotation of the Earth-based variety.
Yeah, obviously I can't get away from Earth like God and watch it rotate. So I would rely on looking at the sky rotate, but I can't even do that where I live, so no.
But that's not the Earth, is it? No? That's not the Earth, that's the sky.
No, yeah, I know.
Moving on, unless anybody else in Discord's got any evidence of axial rotation. Nope. Moving on. Who's up next? Flatsoid? Travis, maybe? Hey, Travis.
Hello, what ho?
You want to ask your signature
Morning,
question?
Travis.
This is perfect for Travis.
Yeah, but I can't ask and answer my own question, can I?
Any scientific evidence
Yeah.
of gravity?
Scientific evidence of what?
Gravity. Scientific evidence thereof.
No.
Nary a bit.
Anybody in Discord? Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Adam would say, not from Nottingham.
Right, moving on then. Hey, Arwen, how you doing?
What's up?
Have you?
Hello?
Who's going to ask the next housekeeping question? You go ahead, Arwen. Ask the sun question.
Does anyone have any evidence of a confirmed measured distance to the sun?
Nope.
Anybody?
No. Just
Anybody?
assumptions.
And what about you in Discord? Anybody in
Well-
Discord?
No, definitely not.
Amazing.
Well, according to Zenit yesterday, you could have one person stand 90 degrees under the sun, another person at a certain distance away, take an angle, and then triangulate the distance to the sun. But that would mean that the difference in angle would be like between 90 degrees and like 88 or 89 point something. So, and then you have to take into account the so-called curvature of the Earth. So total nonsense, and they don't use that anyway for distance to the sun. So no idea how they find the distance to the sun as a one astronomical unit or something. But the triangulation is definitely not a way because it's just garbage.
Yeah, they
On
need
their
to.
model, yeah.
They
I'm
presuppose
pretty
are.
sure they deduced the distance to the sun based on the assumption of its size versus the Earth's size and the moon's size.
Correct. Well, they apply Kepler's third law after assuming that Earth is a sphere with a given radius and that Venus, a light in the sky, is also a sphere with the same size as Earth. Then they just apply Kepler's third law based on
And then there's
transitions and occulting stars. That's it.
parallax or something.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, I was trying to look at all that just a few hours ago, and yeah, I couldn't make sense of it because there's parallax and then this, and then it's changed over time. So I'm lost on that one on their model.
Shout out to CoolPix900. Hey, Sandra. Right, who's next? Got three more, I think. Travis, do you want to ask the gas pressure question, maybe?
I got
I'm
you.
sorry, what?
Do you want to ask the gas pressure housekeeping question?
Any evidence that we can have gas pressure without the...
Container.
Necessary.
Without a container, just without a container.
without a container. I was trying to think of I was going to say presupposed container, but that's not the word.
It was
Necessary
almost like
The
antecedent.
necessary antecedents.
Antecedent.
Yeah. There you go.
Come
Chocolate.
on, man.
Happy birthday, chocolate.
Come on,
Well,
man.
the necessary antecedent
Thank you.
part of the question isn't necessarily needed to start a debate, but it undoes the question in the question because you've got a necessary antecedent consequent relationship going on, and you state that by saying any evidence of the necessary antecedent for gas pressure, i.e. a container. But you don't have to say that, just say any evidence of gas pressure without a container. That's perfectly fine.
There may be some evidence for it though, but only in really old cartoons.
I thought you were going to say for a fraction of a second when an explosion goes off, but okay, tell us about the Acme gas pressure without a container then.
Yeah.
Well, there's like this thing where they walk off cliffs and then they are basically suspended until they realize it. So there's some kind of quantum mechanical effect going on there. and then they fall down, but yeah, still usually like their clothes or something are still gonna hang there.
Even
So
if that was,
that
even
seems
if that
like
was in
evidence
reality,
of gas pressure without a container.
that's only for a very limited time, isn't it? It's a bit like your explosion example, but by way of cartoon. Right, we've got Molten Iron Core on our left. Who wants to? You're on the mic, Arwin. Do you want to ask for R?
R.
Yeah, do you want to ask the housekeeping question?
R. Okay. Yeah. Does anyone have any confirmed physical evidence of Earth radius?
R value? Anybody? Anybody at all?
I heard they measured the equator once, but I've got no evidence of it.
What's
The
what's
equator, you say?
What's the equator?
Well, it's assumed to be the what do you call it? Circumference?
Right.
Radius?
Well,
Or
you're
is there
correct.
another word?
It is indeed assumed to be the circumference of the Earth.
Do you know what it's
Okay,
derived
yes, I
from,
got it
Dawn?
right.
Do you know where they get it from?
I don't know. I'm not saying anything other than apparently they measured it once.
Yeah, but what did they measure? Where did they derive it from? Do you know?
Well, didn't they travel around and then come back?
No. It's derived from the sun, of course.
Well, so you don't reckon they've ever measured the equator?
Derived from the sun. The path of the sun.
Oh, I heard they measured it. I
Oh,
could
really?
be wrong, but I
Do you
heard
want
they
to show us
measured
that? You heard, did you?
it. Yeah.
Heard. So you can't provide any support. This is just what you heard. Hearsay.
Yeah. As I said, yeah, I can't provide evidence of it. I just heard that they measured it once.
He once was turned into a newt.
Yeah.
He got
Baseless.
better, though.
It's called a baseless assertion then.
How would you even measure the equator? That I asked you that yesterday in the text, Don. Like, I mean, how could you actually measure the equator? And like, they just go around it, and I don't
I'm
know.
not exactly sure how they measure long distances. I guess sailing around it is part of it. Yeah.
Did I stutter when I said it twice? Did I? Was it not coming through in Discord?
No, I get you.
Well, what part of that don't you like, or want to ignore?
No, it's fine. I agree. I was just answering the guy's question.
Okay. Right, should we move on? Molten Iron Core. Who's going to ask? I'm going to nominate Paul or Lily, depending on who's on the mic.
Oh, well, there's a lot of background noise, but I'll try. Is there any evidence of a molten iron core at the presupposed center of a spherical Earth?
Perfect. Come on, I'm really excited for this one. Somebody's got to have some evidence of that molten iron core. Come on, don't keep me hanging.
How much iron is lava anyway?
How much iron is lava? I don't know what the percentage of iron is in lava. I don't know.
That's called a red herring.
Yeah, what the hell? What's that got to do with the state of the molten iron core at the centre?
In the red herring.
Anybody? Anybody at all? No. That concludes the housekeeping.
Looks like space.com might have something here. Hang on a second. I just pulled it up. What is Earth made of? I'll share it. I was just playing around while we were talking.
One more kettle to bring.
There we go. Let's see what they say. This is from space.com. What is Earth made of? Earth is unique among the known planets. It is an abundance of water and other worlds, including a few moons, have atmospheres, ice, even oceans, but only Earth has the right combination of substance. Let's see. Talks about the crust, talks about the mantle, talks about the core. Well, I guess.
So we have
all the
trust
answers,
space.
guys.
Hold on.
We have to trust space.com for what the core
Yep,
of the Earth
space.com.
is. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Well, here you go. I'll drop the link.
Because you get the proof of it in outer space. right?
See, we had the answers here the whole time. We just
No,
should
no.
have gone to second law of thermodynamics violation.com.
So, if you're going to be the portrayer of the heliocentric system, which at its heart has spheres, and this is a detail of the centre of a sphere, yes, it's where we live in this instance, yeah, of course that's going to come from NASA.
Mhm.
Look at all
No,
that
it's
vacuum
just-
around the depiction. Of course it's NASA. Yeah, keep it
Well,
on
did they-
screen just for a second, Paul. So, all this is space, right? And the gas pressure is probably as thick in their bullshit world of spheres, as thick as this little edge around the outside of this cross section. That's about how thick it is. So, right next to that, you've got the vacuum of space. I know this is just a graphical depiction, not that we've got any real pictures. But this is 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum, according to their rhetoric and bullshit religion world of spheres. That being the case, the gas has got nothing to press upon. It would disperse instantly into the gas. But even their rhetoric, showing the core Arwin, has space at its core, for want of a better word.
I see some new evidence though within Paul's presentation, because here they actually specifically show that the most inner core is actually solid.
Well, wasn't it Sleeping Warrior that used the so-called temperature of this core and said after a certain amount of heat, the magnetic part can't work?
Right.
Yeah, that's why I say self-perpetuating.
So yeah, that solid core just slipped in there because otherwise they can't explain their magnetics.
If it was
So
solid, and
if it can get so hot to where magnets don't work, how could it be self-perpetuating?
No, but magnets do not work. It's just that the material actually putting out that field, that direction, simply because of the Curie temperature, the magnetic effect loses its grip. So the molecules, the iron or whatever it is gonna basically loosen its grip on the magnetism. It will no longer be viable for magnetism.
Right. It's like a light that's not plugged in. It won't work.
Right. But it's not like heat itself stops it. It's basically because the material becomes a little bit too fluid for the magnetism to stay in its track.
Well, yeah, either way, whether that descriptive way you described it or the fact that it's so hot, it can't do what it does when it's not self-perpetuating because it can't work.
Maybe the solid inner core is under the QE temperature or something?
Well, they've only gone 8 miles. How do they know what it looks like?
But they don't. They just make it up. I thought that was obvious.
They just slice a quarter out of the earth and take a look. How do you
there
think
it is.
we know this?
There it is on screen, right, Arwin? They did
Yeah.
it back in the 70s. They just took a big chunk out, took a few photos. Bob's your uncle, molten iron core. Then they just stuck it back in. Nobody was too fussed.
Exactly.
So, Don,
Finally, you understand, Nathan.
We understand. We know what's going on, Arwin.
hey, Don, I'd like to know why you troll Globers when you are one.
To me,
Yeah. No, I thought that was interesting what you said earlier to Nathan, that you were trolling fellow Globers.
oh yeah, I always do it.
What's the motivation?
It's just fun because they've got dogma and preaching and belief systems too.
Okay, so what part of the globe lie do you
It's only
consider
fair.
a lie? What part do you
I'm
feel is
not
a lie
attached to
that
the
you're willing
globe.
to troll about?
Not attached to the globe belief anymore, so it's only fair that I troll both sides.
They
Oh,
say
so you're
Don
no
is
longer-
flat curious.
Have you renounced the
think
globe,
I
Don?
think we're lied to about history and the cosmos.
No wonder you're on the panel so often at the moment. They don't like that on your side, Dawn. They don't like that at all.
Oh, I was exiled from Gem Panda's little cult because I don't know, I changed a bit and they didn't like it.
Oh God, he's been excommunicated. That's just terrible.
Female says you're a porn bomber.
Yeah, because I messed with Dell's audio on one stream.
Messed with his audio? What, you played pornography audio?
Well, different types of audio, yeah.
Why would you do such a thing?
Because I think Dell is embarrassing for Flat Earth, and I was just in a funny mood that night.
Oh, well, thank you for your concern and making it worse.
Yeah, he was just having a go at everybody and just being nasty and like having his own breakdown, but expressing it to the whole Flat Earth community, and I didn't like it.
But he's been doing that for years.
I vaguely remember us having this conversation about 6 months ago, Dawn, and I explained, as is still the case, that I don't watch Dell. You know, certain things he does I don't like. More power to him. Go and subscribe to Beyond the Imaginary Curve. But, you know, if you don't like something, you just don't engage with it, and then the problem goes away. You know, when your parents told you just ignore him when the kid was thumping you or whatever at school?
That is the better way to deal with it, yeah.
But you didn't do that. You went on his show and played pornography noises. I don't get it. Why not just not watch him if he's annoying you?
I tried that technique a lot of times, but I kept getting drawn back in and being annoyed.
Okay then. Fair enough.
What draws you back in?
Huh?
What draws you back in?
What draws me back in? I don't know. Like the rebellion against consensus, I think that's quite intoxicating.
But you're rebelling against someone that's rebelling against rhetoric in the mainstream.
That's what I was doing at first, yeah. But now I'm just kind of like being here with everyone as it's happening rather than rebelling against so much. Two and a half years ago, that's exactly what I was doing. I hated it. It triggered me so hard.
Okay, well, I take my flat earther hat off and put my YouTuber hat on and go, that's outrageous, you know. That's his hard work. That's his YouTube channel. You know, I'd be absolutely fuming if you did it to me.
I know.
There's just no need. People work really hard on the YouTube channels. Bell's no exception. He works really hard.
He did actually enjoy it because he gave the link out another 10 times and kept smiling and smirking and giggling as it was happening. But I know it was wrong.
You really take that as a serious statement? You really think he was smiling and enjoying you know, playing that type of shit on his hangout? Come on, Don. Probably smiling at how much of a fucktard this guy is doing this to my hangout.
Why would he drop the link in the hangout another 9 times when that's happening?
Because maybe he was waiting for people to come in that weren't going to do that. Maybe. Just maybe. Come on, man.
Look, as a show manager, Dell is kind of low tier. He's not really evolved in showkeeping. He's just doing the same thing. It's not like that's the first time that's happened. Just does it that way, and this shit happens. And it's not his fault that it happens, but he's not really ensuring that it doesn't. So, but it's still on you, Don. You're the one that did it. I'm going to hold you accountable for it, not Dell.
I mean, he's extending a lot of trust to his audience, you being one of them, dedicated fan for quite a period of time, and you just immediately abuse it. Just, you know, I don't know. It just seems disgraceful to me as a YouTuber that you'd risk someone's YouTube channel in that way. When somebody like Dell's put shitloads of work into his channel, why should you come along and just say, I'm going to destroy it?
Part of my argument, I guess, is why I did it. Because he had 400, 500 people listening. And instead of teaching them truth and awakening them and enlightening them and helping guide them through, is the earth flat or not, he was just shouting at everybody and being horrible, like a cult leader that's lost his mind.
Well, maybe they were coming just for that. Ever
I know,
consider
so
that?
that's, I kind of feel like I might have added to the show a bit, like, you know.
Oh, so now you did a good thing, did you?
No,
Uh,
just I might argue that if we kept talking about it for ages.
So what have you learned from it, Don?
It's not really worth it.
Good. So let's transition into the statement you said a few seconds ago. He wasn't telling the truth. So how are you assessing the shape of this earth based on your reasoning? If you can tell the
No, I
truth
didn't say he's
between
not.
what a
I didn't say Dell's not telling the truth, although I do think he's lying. I think he was just
hang
not
on.
representing
So he's
Earth.
lying, but he's not. But it could be telling the truth while he's lying.
No, I do actually think he's lying, but that isn't what I said a minute ago.
I know, but you just said I don't think he's telling the truth, but I know he's lying.
No, I didn't say that. I was talking about how he was acting in front of his whole flat Earth community, his behavior, not if it's true or not.
All right. How do you derive truth to where you're now kind of trolling globers? What part of the globe lie are you considering as a lie?
NASA is one part, and obviously the government control vaccines.
No, I mean the globe
what
lie.
else?
The globe, not the vaccine lie.
My latest one was obviously drones on Titan and helicopters on Mars. I think that's absurd, so I'd troll them on that. And then the trigonometry thing, even though I don't understand trigonometry, I like to troll them on how they don't know the distances to stars and stuff properly, and they haven't actually measured it directly.
You hear the 7 housekeeping questions on a daily basis. Do you doubt any of them?
I think they're all very cleverly worded and don't actually mean anything.
So when we say, can you see any curvature of the Earth? You say no. So how's that cleverly worded when you agree that you can't see it?
Do we have any scientific evidence of Earth curve? And obviously, Globers would cite pictures from space as scientific evidence, the fact that we've seen Earth curving. And they'd also cite obstruction, measurements of obstruction, and drop and say this is obviously curving because we've seen this. But you guys wouldn't accept that as scientific evidence of Earth curve because you'd say, no, that's obstruction and lies from space.
Let's
so it's cleverly worded so that there is no answer. Any answer that the Glober tries to give you is already, you just laugh at it.
No, not really. I'd like to engage you with this. Are you willing?
On what?
You are engaging him. Just carry on.
All right. So your primary source is NASA showing pictures, if I got it right, from outer space, which you say we don't accept. And then your primary source on our part.
I'm not trying to present Earth curve, scientific evidence of Earth curve. But if I was pretending to, I'd show soundly pictures from space, GoPro footage from balloons, and obstruction, sunsets, boats disappearing.
I thought I heard you say.
None of it you would really consider Earth curve, really. You'd have debunks for all of it.
I'm just reiterating what I thought you said, which was we on the flat Earth community would not accept anything from NASA. And then when you guys ask us, we say it's obstruction, and both are similar in your mind, correct? As arguments from either side?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, you said it.
Yeah, I don't think you accept the evidence that the Globers have got. So
okay,
like
so let's for an instance,
argument on it.
All right, let's get rid of obstruction and get rid of the view from so-called space. So that's the primary. Let's go to secondary evidences. Are you willing?
What are the secondary evidences?
I'm just saying, if we get rid of the view from so-called space of a round Earth, and we get rid of obstruction, why we say objects disappear bottom up. Now we're forced to give up our primary arguments and go to secondary arguments. That's what I'm asking. Are you willing to do that?
I guess I don't know what the secondary experiments are to show you scientific evidence of Earth curvature. I guess we'd measure
Well, I'm going to
across a
share
lake.
with you. That's what I want to share with you.
We'd measure across a lake, I guess, the same you guys would with a laser or something and target.
No, I'm going to use the air, the land, and the sea. Something on terra firma or right above terra firma. Air, land, and sea. Were you on the Ball Busters last Saturday?
No.
All right, it's worth going to because it was flat Earth proofs. And I'll start with the air. An airplane has to take off, have a level flight until it decides to descend and touch down at wherever it's headed towards. So QE talked about a 500-mile trip at a plane going 500 miles an hour. After it takes off, it levels off at 30,000 feet, let's say, and it's called a level flight. And when they serve you drinks, the drinks are level in your cup as you pour it from the can into the plastic cup. You can see it's level. So you know the plane is level. It's not. That's why they don't serve you drinks on takeoff and descent, because it wouldn't be level.
This is a funny argument because level has a lot of meanings.
Well, let me finish it and you can tell me all the meanings. So as you take off, you're tilting backwards. As you descend, obviously it'd be forwards. But in between, you're level. Now, if the Earth was a curve and the circumference was 25,000 miles and 8 inches per mile square is the breakdown of that, there would be 31.7 miles or 167,376 feet of drop that must be negotiated eventually.
Yeah, you negotiate that drop by flying level.
Okay, so if you're flying level,
that's exactly what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that I'd like to see. But if you're flying,
Well, that's what happens every time you go on a plane.
If you're flying over a curved object below you, which is what you're saying the Earth is, then you would have to dip your nose 2,789 feet every minute.
No, you wouldn't. That's not how planes work.
Explain how planes work then.
They fly with the nose slightly up unless they're descending. And because the Earth's so big, they just follow the same altitude and that carries them around the curve of the Earth. It's very simple. You just have to know about scale of spheres and the scale of a plane. Scale of the planet compared to the plane.
What I'm trying to say to you is we gave up the view of a sphere from outer space and we gave up obstruction as our primary arguments, and we're going to secondary arguments. If you have a curved surface, it's a curved surface. If you're flying over a curved surface level, you have to negotiate the drop eventually.
Level means keeping an altitude, and you can keep an altitude round a big sphere.
And what would happen if the ground underneath you is falling away from you and you're level above it? What would happen?
You stay at altitude, which means you curve along with it. So you follow the drop round.
If I'm flying level over a ball, how do I go
level
around
means
the
keeping
curve?
altitude, which means you follow the shape of the surface. That's what it means.
No.
Yes.
If I have a basketball in front of me and I put it right to my eye.
He's responding to you, Dawn. Just try and keep it back and forth. Don't interrupt each other.
Oh, it's a stupid argument. It's like a child's trying to get me on semantics. And
Hold
obviously,
on. Look,
I'm not weak enough to fall for it.
Dawn, right. He's in the middle of a sentence. He's responding to you. Just let him.
It's absurd, dude.
Dawn.
It is a lot more logical to fly over a flat surface level, except when taking off and descending, and knowing that the plane doesn't account 2,789 feet of dip every minute to account for a so-called curve. However, if I was flying over a ball or a curved surface and I'm level, I'm eventually flying away from the drop So I have to dip my nose if it's over a curved surface. That's the meaning of curved. It's curving away from me if it's a ball.
It's a straw man, and I don't want to be involved anymore.
Okay, let's move to land.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So Dawn doesn't want to play anymore. That's the conclusion of the argument. So I'm just going to summarise, right? First and foremost, Dawn, we don't ask for scientific evidence of curvature. We just ask for curvature. Any evidence of curvature. Earth curvature. We don't say scientific evidence. The reason it immediately goes to science is because people will assert cause for an effect. The cause they will assert obviously will be Earth curve, and the effect will be whatever the effect is on that day. There's a great big list on Tim Osman's channel that you can check out for all the various different things that get called Earth curve. So we've got causal relationships asserted. That's science. Cause and effect. Independent and dependent variable. So when someone says the cause of that is Earth curve, we go, oh, right, so we're into the realms of science then. We don't ask for science.
Are you open to just observations that suggest Earth curve, or do you actually want the cause and effect bits as well?
Are you open to observations that suggest Nessie is in Loch Ness, or do you want actual proof of Nessie?
Both. I want both.
So you're happy to accept Nessie's there?
Whichever you have, yeah.
Oh, right. I'm not prepared to accept evidence that seems to suggest there's a monster in a big lake in Scotland. I need actual evidence. You're happy with the inference that there's a Loch Ness monster. Good for you.
I want to see all of it, what you've got. Photos and measurements, assumptions, hypothesis, theories.
What do you mean, what I've got? Any evidence of Earth curve? You said this is a question without an answer, and we'd agree, because there isn't any.
So that's all my point was, is they're trick questions, and they can't really be answered to your satisfaction ever.
Any evidence of Earth curve? If the Earth was curved, Earth curve would be from every single vantage point for every man, woman, child, dog, cat, animal, everything in existence.
Is that what?
Always.
Even if you're in a valley, in a forest?
I'm talking, Dawn. Dawn. Every single position from every man, woman, child, baby, animal, whatever, on the face of the plane, they would all experience curve on the face of the plane.
Under the ocean, scuba divers experience.
Yeah, curve. Whatever, Dawn. We'd all experience curvature, but we don't.
That's absurd.
What do you mean it's absurd?
So if I dig myself in a hole in the forest, I should still observe curvature. I should still experience curvature.
Yeah. If it's 8 inches per mile squared, yeah. You should see curve.
I'm in a hole in the forest.
Dawn.
The math doesn't make any difference.
Dawn, this isn't just your chance to rumpus me. Dawn, what's going on? You're asking questions. Should we see curve? I'll start answering them, and you do what you do. Dawn, is this the end of your time here? Is it because I'm talking? Is it something about me talking? Let's just shut Dawn up, right? Because he can't shut up, right, Dawn? I'm in the middle of a sentence, and you haven't shut up for about the last 60 seconds straight while I was in the middle of a sentence.
You lie too often.
I'm in the middle of a sentence, Dawn. Wait till I've finished, and then you can provide a rebuttal. Don't rumpus me. It's just not reasonable. Yeah, I'll start again. Try not to interrupt this time. If we are on a ball, everybody from every single vantage point always would experience your fundamentalist claim of 8 inches per mile squared. If it's a ball, you would expect to see Earth curve. We don't.
No, you're lying,
and there he goes. You can't bloody... Right, it's your last chance, Dawn. I'm going to shut you up and you don't get to talk anymore. Dawn, you don't get to play anymore then. So he's going to run away instead. Good for you, Dawn. Don't blame you. You're getting a pummeling, mate. You're saying it's unreasonable for us to ask the trick question, any evidence of Earth curve? Yeah, it can't be answered because there isn't any. That's the only reason. And before I even got to the next point, which was Earth curve being experienced by something flying with its nose up. No, mate. If it's dropping away from you, you absolutely got to descend to account for the drop of the Earth curve that you say it's unreasonable to ask us to experience. And as Paul's got nicely illustrated here, here's how much drop you'd have to experience, as 10th man ably pointed out to you, and you just hand-wave dismissed, claiming that a plane flying nose up is somehow going to descend. No, it won't, bonehead. You just haven't got any arguments against these very, not carefully phrased questions. Any evidence of Earth curve? Here it is on screen, it's taught to kids in school, we're just asking for proof of it. None. There isn't any. We live on a plane. We live on a flat Earth.
Nathan, I put up a still shot from a video on Master B. Can you put it up, please? I can't do it on my iPad.
Oh, let's have a look. I have to excuse the crudity of me showing this. There we go. Is that on screen well enough? There we go. That's good enough. It's on screen now, if you want to explain.
Okay, I don't see it, but I have it on my phone. So here's the argument I was making. If you're flying over a curved surface and you're flying level, you could see the level line would take you into higher air and the Earth would fall away from you unless you constantly dip your nose of the plane to be at the same altitude over a curved surface. The only way you don't have to dip the nose of the plane is if you're flying over a flat plane surface. It's pretty obvious.
Absolutely. His hand-wave dismissal of, well, if you're flying level, in fact, nose up, you're in fact descending around a curve, is just double-speak nonsense.
Well, they want to go out into so-called space and say we're a ball, but when you say let's just use our surface to prove whether we're a ball or not, they can't do that because level is level and curve is curve.
There's people in the chat that seem like they want to join and debate us, but there's a full Discord room, so let's see, who haven't we had any words out of? Coffee drinker? We had anything from you? Hello, coffee drinker, can you hear us?
Do it if they would agree or disagree with the definition they have on screen about flat or level.
Pick it up, Paul. Level, a horizontal plane or line with respect to the distance above or below a given point. Position on a real or imaginary scale of amount, quantity, extent, or quality. Plane. Hey, left the foot, can you hear us? Hello, left the foot.
Is that right, the Hand's brother?
I don't know, but he's moved to after show. I want some gaps. If people do want to join the live stream from the show, there's a link in the info box. We're live right now. Unless you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980 Premiering Stream, shout out to everybody who's watching there. But yeah, we're live right now. People can join, but it just fills it with people who don't say anything. Hello, Pinocchio? Can you hear us? Hello? Pinocchio?
Pinocchio would be perfect because he'll have to adjust nose down.
Yeah, I'm just going to move these people to the after show. You know, it's just tedious having to do it. Just there's no point joining the live stream if you're going to not talk. A couple of gaps on Discord now if you do want to join from the audience. Beg the question of being on a sphere, things of that nature, which you've been seeing going on in chat. Just don't understand how it works on a sphere, says Rumpus. What, you mean I don't allow you to beg the question and demand that we're on a sphere? I think you'll find that's the situation, Rumpus.
I love how when you look up level, it says flatten out, plane, smooth out. None of these things say following curve. It's pretty funny, guys.
It's just
Well, they're saying chocolate.
It's the
They're
antithesis
saying
of
that level
flat.
is following curve, which is like, what did you just do to the English language?
Right. Literally in the definition, but then we say we live on a flat plane and we're crazy. But you guys, it's like, okay, guys.
Well, see, it's even worse than that. They've got to prove gravity that is pulling the airplane down. Two, they've also got to show the mechanisms inside the aircraft that's constantly dipping it down, and you should be able to see that kind of adjustment within an aircraft on the altimeter, all those gauges. You should be able to see it. The pilots don't see that at all, so you're gonna have to show all that.
As a verb, to begin to fly horizontally after climbing or diving. Horizontally after climbing or diving. What's horizontal mean? Apparently
Curve.
horizontal means curve now, too.
Curve.
Get a grip, ballers. Get a grip.
What does the pilot say over the overcome?
We will shortly be making a turn to circle the airport. There may be some buffeting as we experience the drop as we fight Earth rotation due to the Coriolis effect. Don't be alarmed.
Nope, never heard that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. At takeoff, and as soon as they level out, what does he say? Our flying speed is 500 miles an hour. Our altitude, our level altitude will be what? Our level altitude. Leveling off.
I remember when I was in the Air Force, back when the SR-71 was in use, the pilots would be like, the plane was moving so fast, they were over New York asking for clearance to land in Maine. So if you think about it, most airplanes, they're probably 20 miles out, or maybe who knows how far out there are, getting clearance for the airport to land. The SR-71 was in New York trying to find clearance to land in Maine. So now I wonder how much curvature that the SR-71 pilot and the spin of the earth that he would have to compensates for trying to land about, 500-600 miles away. Just makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Why do you think they have
Sorry to interrupt.
instrumentation?
Sorry, 10th man. We've got a new guest in Discord. Hey, Grave Digger. How you doing? Can you hear us?
Hey there. Can you hear me?
We can. Very good to have you.
Excellent. Yep. First time on. I just thought I'd call in and say, did a wee bit of tested by. Oh, hold on a tick. I'm coming through twice. Hold on.
Yeah, just mute your watch page, the one you're watching. While you're doing that, we've also got Darren. How you doing, Darren? Can you hear us?
I certainly can. How are you today?
Very well indeed. Then we've also got somebody B and S Bandit, something like that. Bandsaw Bandit. There we go. Getting better at reading these weird names. Can you hear us? Bandsaw Bandit.
Could be bullshit, Bandit.
Could be. He's getting moved as he's not saying hello. I'm trying to keep it under 10 so there's at least one gap for a newbie to join. So,
10th man, did you ever hear of the Blue Angels?
Oh yeah, I know the Blue Angels. Also, I used to be stationed at the at Nellis with the Thunderbirds. So
you know what the British equivalent is?
Yeah, they travel like at 700 miles per hour. And I think it would notice Earth curve by then.
Yeah,
you would think.
We have the red arrows. They fly in call it synchronized flying. I don't know what, there's probably a proper term for that. But they're flying within like a foot of each other's wingtips.
Well, and the crazy thing
Yeah,
is,
I think
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the Blue Angels did the same thing or similar.
Yeah, I used to watch Thunderbirds do their practice run over at Nellis. They used to shut the Nellis down while the Thunderbirds practiced. And if you talk to one of the pilots, the pilot on like the only pilot that's really doing any navigating is the pilot that's at the point of the formation. The others are looking at the wing of the other pilot. So they're not actually following their own instrumentation. They're having to watch the wing of the one person that's flying.
Of course.
So that's the only way they can do it. It's pretty crazy.
So one guy's worried about where they're actually going. The others are just worried about not hitting each other.
Basically, yeah. That's pretty crazy.
Anyway.
These airplanes, and all airplanes, have instrumentation. And if we visit when they set the gyro, it's while they're on the ground to get that thing humming. So no matter where they are in the air, they know what level was at the point when they took off. Especially when you hit bad weather and you can't see in front of you. So how does the gyro manage the curve?
Well, I've left that hanging long enough. Any of our new members of Discord got any scientific evidence for their spinning ball religion?
That'll be no.
Are you, Gravedigger?
Hey there, is this now working?
It is.
Testing 1, 2.
Can you not hear us? Oh, alrighty then.
Oh, sorry about this, guys. I can't tell whether I'm actually broadcasting or not.
Yeah, we hear you. We just don't know if you can hear us.
Oh, excellent. Okay, well, I just called in to say I had a very good viewing this morning from the east coast on the peninsula here in Northern Ireland to the Ailsa Craig, the island. It's 43 miles away. I was measured 10 feet above sea level and could see the whole of the Ailsa Craig. It was particularly good viewing this morning.
Oh, excellent. You have any
And that was with naked eye, with binoculars, and I've ordered up a little adapter for my very good spot and scope, and hopefully I'll get some snaps just to show what the good viewing can be.
Cool. I think a guy called Al K got some snaps of Ailsa Craig. Was it Al K? About 12 months ago.
Yeah, and on some days, I mean, it can be a little bit squashed if the refraction index seems to be quite high, but on really low fraction days, it is just a lovely little hump. And according to the measurements I took, I think the highest point on it is 1,109 feet, is the top of the Ailsa Craig. And according to the calculator, I think it's 1,200 feet or so missing. So it should have been hidden well behind it.
So a slightly looming, non-standard refraction hyena holographic projection of Ailsa Craig from beyond Earth curve, then?
It sounds like it.
Or we just see it, obviously, and observably flat. Pick your poison.
Absolutely, yeah. Where I live, we have very good tracking of the boats going up and down. The Stena boats basically follow the same track. They're 14 miles out. Easy to view. easy to see the wash coming off the bottom of the boat.
So, how long have you been out there with your binoculars? Is this a new thing to you, or?
No, up to about a year ago, I thought anybody who thought the Earth was flat was crazy.
So, as a consequence, is that what I'm getting at? Is has it got you out and about looking at where you live?
Well, I did that anyway, but I didn't really ever think about it. I always thought, right, okay, everything is as we're told. It's round, it's whatnot. And then when a friend said to me, Jim, do you know the Earth could be flat? I thought, nah, you're crazy. But of course, you go out and do your own tests. I did my own tests, and all of a sudden it's weird. That's a bit weird. I shouldn't be saying that. And you are. So all gets a wee bit crazy for the last year. It's been a bit of, okay, let's have a look at this, let's look at that, let's take some measurements, let's go down the beach. I shouldn't see this and I shouldn't see that. So I have to admit it has been a bit confusing over the past year, but certainly your channel and a lot of others has certainly helped with trying to make some sort of sense out of it.
Well, hopefully I'll give you a little bit more just before I ask the Nathan Oakley 1980 audience to hang around, because we will have an after show. But one thing I will say is that when you say what we should or shouldn't see, it's based on their reification of the world that they say you live in. In other words, what you see is what you see, and a model won't ever dictate to you what you see. So basing your I should see this or shouldn't see this, if it's shouldn't but you do, and you've phrased it that way, I shouldn't see this, then that immediately gets you to beg the question of things like slightly looming non-standard refraction, hyena, holographic projections of Ailsa Craig from beyond Earth's curve, because you've asked the question how much should or shouldn't be seen on a sphere. So you're instinctively still begging the question of how much should or shouldn't be there. Just relinquish all thoughts. We don't live on a model. That's a reification fallacy. So don't concern yourself, in other words, with what the mathematics of a sphere say when they exclude perspective in the proof of nothing calculators that they use to beg the question. And with that, I will say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who have tuned in to the Nathan Oakley live stream, for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Also, of course, a massive thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this live show possible. Be sure to stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980. If you're not, then check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video. Stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
If you have a small inkling and enjoying the night sky, you sort of get into binoculars and spotting scopes and everything else and telescopes, and you just enjoy it. And I've done that for years. Never, ever, ever give any thought to anything other than what you're taught. Ever. Never even crossed my mind. So, but when
Not
you
even
get,
like,
when
not
you
even
get
health.
thrown at this little question to you, you know, have you considered this? Well, I have to admit I hadn't. But when you look into it, things just don't seem as you were taught. That's all.
So basically, this was like your first big lie, and you didn't suffer any serious cognitive dissonance.
I just had a look at what I could see, and that was it, really. And you do the next thing, which is websites, forums, whatnot. Seeing what other people say and what they think, and try and make a judgment from that. Try and read up as much as possible. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's, I suppose you realize it's a very big topic. There's so much info out there. It can be a wee bit mind-boggling sometimes, but very educating too. So I suppose in a nutshell, I go on what I can see.
So you looked out where there should have been over 1,200 feet of curve and didn't see it. Is that right?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I've always seen the Elsa Craig. I just never thought that I shouldn't see it. If you know what I mean. I mean, I'd be down the shore. I live near the sea, so it's a normal thing for me to go down and have a look around. But I never gave it a second thought. I mean, for all my life as a kid, we've always seen Scotland across the Irish Sea. It's 23 miles away where I am. I've always seen it. There's times whenever I have seen car headlights on the far shore and driving along the road on a really good day. Years ago, never thought about it. Never even, to be honest with you, I probably thought in the back of my head that the Earth is so big and round that maybe that's just how things work, because I never looked into it at all in that sort of microscopic way. I just took everything what I saw was normal.
So when you applied their dimensions for their globe, 8 inches per mile squared, what happened then?
That was the revelation.
Elaborate.
Sorry, I don't think I got all of that. I just got when you applied 8 inches per mile squared.
Yeah, you said that was the revelation. So elaborate what took place in your mind. Now that you have a number for the globe, all of a sudden, wait a minute, this doesn't match.
What went through my mind instantly was, somebody's wrong.
So what'd you do after that?
Kept on viewing. Had a good look. Picked spots. Watched boats. Looked, tried to, obviously you're limited to being in one spot at any given time. So where I am, if I'm staring straight over the coast to Scotland, if I turn about 70 degrees to my right, I've got the Isle of Man. If I turn to the left, I've got a few other islands and juts out of land, so I can try and see what I can see at different distances, 6 miles, 23 miles, where the boats are, 14 miles. And I suppose one of the ones that probably, if I forget about the Elsa Craig and the Isle of Man, if I just think about something in line of sight where you have more than one item at one time or more than one object, I think seeing all of one of the Stena Line boats at I think it was 13 and a half miles. I found it on the ship finder, and that track, I know that track is 14 and 12 miles from where I live. Seeing the whole boat with the wash at the bottom of it and able to see the Scottish coast quite well down, I thought, right, okay, there's something here, to be able to see both in line, one behind the other. Yeah, I think that was probably one of the trigger points.
So when you applied your own testing, you took action. And when you talk to someone in your family or friends who are, say, still believing in the globe, I would assume they've never done the tests you've done.
Oh, no, not at all. No.
So when you tell them, look, I'm just not believing what someone is saying. I actually went and tested the 8 inches per mile square and the official narrative, and here's what I found. What did they say to you?
You mean after they stopped laughing?
Yeah.
Not much, to be honest with you. Just give you that weird look.
So I'm interested. When you first saw it, you moved forward into action steps to prove or not prove. Your friends and my friends.
Well, there's only so much you can do. Yeah, I mean, all I can do is view.
Right. But why is it that you and I did that and our friends laugh at us and won't do the test? What's your take on that?
Sorry, say that last bit again.
Why is it that people like you and I, when we first come across this, we decided to do our own tests and apply the math of the globe to what they say, and we see that it's flat, it's now round. And our friends who laugh at us don't do these very easy tests themselves. Why do you think they won't do it versus why you and I did it? What's your take?
Yeah, well, I suppose a lot of people don't have an interest in finding out. It's easy to walk life with blinkers on, but I'm inquisitive. I like to find out why things work, why things do this, why things do another thing. But I know there's a lot of people aren't like that. A lot of people don't really care, but for me, if I see something, I want to know how it works and how it should be, if I suppose would be one way of putting it. I like to know.
Do you watch TV?
Do you watch TV?
Yeah, television watcher.
Sometimes, yeah. Oh, was that something to do with the topic?
Well, usually the more TV you watch, the more indoctrinated you are.
All right, okay. See where you're going. No, I can see that. Yeah. I can see why that would.
I'm like 10th man. I'm trying to figure out why are you different, and why are some of us different.
Right. Okay. Don't know. It's a good question. I did amateur astronomy for years, and so hence why when somebody said it's flat, how ludicrous that seemed to me at the time. I mean, I've had my telescope pointed at Saturn. I've viewed the rings open, closed. I've watched the 4 main moons of Jupiter, tracked them. I've done all of that as a teenager and then later on in life, and enjoyed it. So when you hear something like this, it's a dynamic shift. It's in your thinking pattern. It's a big change.
Did you ever go, it's too big of a lie?
Go to where?
Did you ever say it's too big of a lie? It can't be true because of that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah, it's enormous. It's a massive lie. If it is, I'm still in the wow factor of, can this really be how it is? Is this, that bit where Truman is sort of poking at the flat surface at the end of the water. That wee bit where he's poking with his finger?
Yep.
That wee bit of a, oh, hold on a wee tick. That's a wee bit what it's like. Cat in the headlights.
However, you are very certain that their 8 inches per mile as the official measurement for this globe is absolutely false based on your tests, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I use a number of the calculation websites, the Earth curve calculator and whatnot, and I just use a number of them, and whatever the average is, then I sort of take that as being right. Okay, well, that must be the average of what they're all saying, which is 8 inches per mile squared. I know that the recent one there got a change to make it more confusing, so I just use it as well. I just put them all in. But I say, even allowing for something on that Ailsa Craig this morning, I mean, it's 1,109 feet at its highest point, and at 43 miles and 10 feet off sea level. I shouldn't have seen any of it. Or
at best, 1,200 feet. Over 1,200 feet.
At best, maybe a slither of the top. Maybe.
So what do you say when they say it's looming and it's pitching itself around the curve and it's a mirage of some kind?
I find that hard to accept. I don't seem to see that in other areas. I can understand a small amount, maybe small amount of refraction. I've seen weird things in telescopes over the years. with light, changing shape and stuff and whatnot with lens effect. It can be a wee bit weird, but for small amounts. But for large amounts, when we're into thousands of feet, it gets a bit strange.
Well, how would you apply this with your boat that you saw that was only 13 miles away?
And that's the problem, you see, because I suppose in the back of my mind I might have accepted that there might be a wee bit of refraction there on something so close, and I thought, well, not absolutely conclusive to me, but when you start moving out to bigger distances and a larger drop behind the taut curve that I wasn't witnessing, then that's when you sort of really start questioning it. Small changes in close-up objects are probably harder to shake you out of what you've been taught.
So we're all in agreement here, I think, where because you're looking off the deck of the ocean or the sea, and you've got atmospheric conditions, water vapor magnification, miraging, that there should be something affecting it, but not based on the math that they give us, 8 inches per mile square. It can't be doing all this huge looming while it's really not observable because it's on the other side of the globe. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, it seems to go beyond what I would think. I'm no scientist, I'm no physicist, but it seems to go beyond what I think is reasonable to expect, if I can put it that way. Having lived near the sea all my life, I have seen Scotland on boats, and I have not seen them. So obviously, there's times whenever I see it squished, and there's times when I see it in full. I mean, watching Randy's broadcasts have been great because he basically shows what I see where I am. It's a similar sort of thing. Some days you see it, some days you don't. Sometimes they're squished, sometimes they're not. I must say those Stena boats are great because the writing down the side and the different color of the sort of the hull, it does give you a good indicator of when the letters are being squashed. So that's actually quite a good help to tell when refraction's going on and when it's not.
Right, but you're able to diagnose from that time when you can't see it, you can see it, or you see it squished, that it's not the Earth shape, it's just the conditions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And because where I am, there's two, the Stena boats and the cargo boats, they tend to, on their schedule, they will cross each other at times, so they're sometimes about 12 miles out, but then the second the boat behind it will be maybe 14 miles going in the opposite direction, so you have a boat at 12, a boat at 14, and that's another good indication of of what's going on, because sometimes in a very weird way you can actually see the boat behind it in front of the boat that you're looking at in the foreground because of the weird refraction. Not all of the boat, but bottom of the boat.
Cool. That's great. I'm glad you took the initiative and did similar things to what I did, because it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the very start, I suppose when I suppose a good while ago, when I first got into this whole thing, I thought, I'll be honest with you, I I was putting it from well, hold on a wee tick. The Earth's round, so what could cause what I'm seeing to be true? And then I thought, oh, can you have flat plates of water on a curve? And my thinking was going across to the likes of if you can imagine water in a puddle. Now I know this is very simplified and the distances are so much different, but if you follow me, I thought to myself at the start, hold on, could I be witnessing big flat plates of water that are surrounded by land masses. I suppose, in some way, I was trying to rationalize what I was seeing to a globe. I suppose that's, and I thought it was a logical way of looking at it, because I was just looking at, right, okay, well, a puddle looks flat. You pour water into a bucket, the surface is flat. I know you might get a bit of sort of raised areas at the edges through the tension at the side of the cup or the side of the bucket. But I think in general it levels out flat in a bucket or on a pond or in a puddle. And I just thought, maybe, does that principle work on a larger scale? Does that happen on a lake where water sits flat? But I don't think the same can be said for the ocean or the sea.
So flat doesn't
Again,
mean curved.
it was only a thought. There was no serious investigation into it. I was trying to rationalize what I was seeing into the physics of a globe, I suppose.
So flat doesn't mean curved to you, right?
Flat means flat to me.
So now, when you went to water, now we have to address the next lie of gravity. What's your take on gravity?
I haven't a clue, honestly.
And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering audience for tuning in, hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Of course, a massive thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this after show possible. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!